ourselves better, because we're already the best, because we're in 4-H. So communicating is a way to make ourselves better, and that's why we are here right now. So I am going to talk about how to give a presentation. I'm Hannah Thayer from Polk County, from the Johnson Forever Green 4-H Club. I've done a presentation every year since I was in 4th grade, and so I thought since this is my last year in 4-H, I would do a presentation on how to give a presentation. I've gone through all the high school speeches, and I know that presenting has helped me very much. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do is pick a topic. It can be something that interests you, something that you enjoy speaking about, something that you learned at school, or the activities that you did, like the other presentation about football and concussions. A current event, anything that's happening in the world, something that you're good at and you want to show everybody what you can do. After you've picked a topic, you should probably research it. You need to familiarize yourself with the topic. Don't just go, this doesn't include just Googling things. You should have a process, and other ways of doing that, you can go to the library. Those do still exist. You can go check out books. It can be actually pretty fun. You can interview someone that's familiar with the topic. For example, I did a presentation on Ethiopia, and my cross-country coach actually just adopted a small boy from Ethiopia, so I talked to him about what it was like going over there and the culture, what it was like. After you get all your research, make sure that you are recording it along the way. So you set your sources. You don't want to be plagiarizing anything or anything like that. Alright, once you research your topics, or your topic, you want to pick a format of the presentation that you want to give. Those formats, there's a demonstration format, which is like a how-to. You can show people how to do something, like building a chair or making food or something like that. Then there's illustrated talk, which is like explaining or telling, which is kind of like what I'm doing right now. And then there's a speech, which is, it's not just rattling off facts, but you're taking factual information and turning it into a presentation. You pick the format. When you're doing this, you want to keep the audience in mind. You don't want to do a factual presentation on dogs, for instance, and just rattle off some random facts about dogs, and then you don't have a dog actually with you. Then it wouldn't be any interesting at all or anything. Alright, once you have all that, you need to start writing it. No matter what presentation format you choose, there's always 3 parts to it: an intro, a body, and a conclusion. The introduction is very important. You want to make sure that this is catchy and interesting, and it hooks the audience right away. And so when you first start talking, you want to catch their interest, so they'll keep listening the entire time and not just sit there and just be like, this sounds boring. Alright, and then the body. This is where you will put all of your information. There should be structure to it. If you have steps, that steps should obviously go in order, things like that. Alright, and when you're giving your presentation or writing it, you want to make sure that there are examples in there as well. It kind of helps you guide your thoughts and ideas, and it gives the audience perspective. Use visual aids like the PowerPoint that I'm doing now, or posters or pictures or anything like that. If you do a poster or PowerPoint, make sure they're large font so people can see. They're bulleted because it can help. It's easier for you to look at and the audience to look at. The visual aids are also really good because it helps you remember it as well. If you're doing something involving foods, make sure that they're pre-measured. You don't want to be up here with this giant sack of flour and you're trying to get it all out put them in and then take the tray back and get another tray. It just keeps everything organized and it keeps your space neat and it doesn't distract the audience from anything. When you are writing this, make sure that you account for like stirring or anything. If you're doing with food, you don't want any long, awkward pauses. Just add in little tidbits of information about what you're talking about. Keep the audience's attention. Just make sure there are no long pauses or anything awkward like that. Okay, it says use note cards to help you remember. If you are nervous about remembering your presentation, it's always good to have the visual aids or some sort of note card so you can remember what you're going to say next. Don't have like a whole piece of paper out, you're just reading straight from what you wrote. That would be very distracting for the audience, as well as you. Alright, and then for the conclusion, this is where you summarize your main points, you wrap up what you're saying. You can pass out any handouts that you have, like instructions or where you got your information, or like a sheet of facts if you want people to remember them. After you're done, thank the audience, ask them for if they have any questions. If they ask a question, make sure you repeat it because not everyone might have heard it and it's just better for the group as a whole. And just politely thank them after you're all done. Alright, you want to think of a title throughout your whole presentation writing process. It's easier to write it at the end because you know what is in your presentation and what you're speaking about, so it'll be easier for you to make it. This should also be catchy, like if it's out there on the board somewhere and people are walking by, you want them to be like, oh, I should go watch that later, or sit down and listen right now, or something like that, because you want them to hook the audience as well. If you need help with ideas, you can just look through some like newspapers or magazines to see how they go about writing titles, because that's also important for them. Alright, and once you write everything and you pick a title, after you get all your visual aids together, you need to practice. Practice is the most important thing when giving a presentation, because you can have everything all ready to go, but the way you execute it is how you actually get it across. Challenge yourself. You can memorize your presentation in parts. Start with the intro, see how far you can go without looking at anything or looking down at what you're saying. Always make sure that you're practicing eye contact as well. Also, you have a loud, clear voice. This just benefits the audience and yourself because they know what you're saying. It's not awkward for you and they're just kind of spacing off of something. Practice it in front of your friends or family because they will be honest with you and they won't just be like, oh, good job, yeah, you did great. They'll be very honest with you and be like, no, you need to look up more. Just the best thing that you can do is just practice, practice, practice. It's just saying it when you're in the shower to yourself or when you're just doing something else, I don't know. Just make sure you're always practicing it because that will make the audience know that you know what you're talking about and that you're confident when you're up here speaking. And also, the more that you know, if you get nervous and you're up here, you won't get flustered and forget. You'll just have it down cold and you'll just be able to speaking at your point across without getting all messed up. Alright, how will this help? This presenting in front of an audience will help you become more relaxed and more confident in front of people in general, whether it's just a single judge or an entire audience like this or in front of a classroom. Giving speeches, you'll always do that in high school and throughout college. I know I gave more than I can count speeches, and I've seen people go up there and just get very flustered and they spoke in such a monotone voice, and it was very boring to watch. And so 4-H, presenting for 4-H it can help you, but you can also become really, really good at it too, and become more confident. So I hope that I have given you the pointers to make a good presentation, and I also encourage people to give more presentations because information. Most of it is from just past experiences. I did go on these websites. They're 4-H websites, so they're through the Extension Office. It just helped me set up this presentation in a more formalized format, but most of everything that I've said is basically just from past experiences, because I've had many judges tell me, oh, your posters are too cluttered, your PowerPoints, they're too squished, you need to talk louder, you need to not look down, memorize more, because I've had the piece of paper out where I just read it, I've done that before, you don't want to do that. So most of it is just past experiences.
So are these references the hot sheet and the tip sheet that go with communications?
The question is, are these the websites or like the papers that you get when you communicate? No, I just found these on the website. I don't think they're the ones that they give you, because the ones that I found were a lot more elaborate than the ones that, yeah.
These are the more specific.
They're more specific. They give you better, more detailed ways of doing things. So I just took that as a basis and then went with it.
Good. Who have you presented this presentation to?
The question was, who have I presented this presentation to? Well, I gave it to my county. They actually asked me if they could record me giving it, and then we'll use it for the other kids. So me and my COC, he filmed me giving this, and so they're going to use it for future 4-Hers for like clubs. I've given it to my club in more of a not as formal setting, just kind of like spoke to them about it. And I had to go to another club that just started in my county, and I talked to them about what projects I've done, and it was mostly about communications and stuff like that.
Where else do you think you could give this presentation that might be helpful to people?
The question was, where else could I give this presentation to that would be helpful? Well, my sister's starting high school, so she's very timid with things. She's not a presenter like I am, and it would be really great if I could like give it to like her and her friends or something, or like go back to my school since I graduated and just like help them, because I know we have an advanced speech program, and like not very many kids do it until they're seniors, and so they should do it before then, because they'll be too old to like go throughout high school after they take that class their last year. So,
Are there other questions?
thank you very much.